Hello and welcome to Clarity for UPSC. I'm Dr. Shivin. If you can see and hear me, please write yes in the chat and then we'll get started. Just write yes in the chat, please, and then we'll get started so that I know that you can see and hear me. Hello, good evening. Okay, so I can see a lot of yeses in the chat, so I think that you can see and hear me. So we'll get started now, right? So this session is basically to answer your comments and questions and to deal with whatever problems you might have, right? So, but before we start, there is something I'd like to talk to you about. Firstly, I'd just like to wish you all a very happy new year. This is the first time I'm getting to interact with you in the new year. So, happy new year. And see, as 2024 is starting, all of you are also starting your examination journey. So, before we start, I'd just like to talk about this one thing about the exam in 2024. Now, most of the people who are here, right, you have at least at some level made the decision that you want to write this exam, right? You've made the decision that hame ye exam likhna hai, this is what we want to do. And at least this year you want to spend this year focusing on UPSC. You can just hold your comments for a while. I'll take all the questions, but just for a while, if you could hold your questions and listen to what I'm saying. So you've made the decision to write this exam, and you're pretty confident that you're going to write this exam, and that decision about your career has been made. Now, this year, I would like to request all of you to treat this only as an academic exercise. What happens is that we look at this exam more than just an exam. We look at it as a job, what we'll do, the glory we'll get, all the infrastructure that we'll get, how people will respect us, command us, and all of that. But a very simple and sincere request to all of you is that now that the decision has been made, now that you've decided that this is what you want to do for 2024, treat this merely as an academic exercise. This is just an exam that you're writing. इसका मतलब ये नहीं है that it's any less serious, but इसका मतलब ये है that you make a pledge to yourself that this year you will not spend time thinking about motivation, not spend time thinking about the infrastructure you will get if you enter the services, not spend time watching reels on YouTube of royal entry, but spend time optimizing your academic progress. You will ensure that you solve MCQs in the best manner. You will ensure that you write answers in the best manner. Rather than focusing on what will be after you get selected, this year, make it about how you can study better. Let this year be something where you think about how to focus better, how to write better, how to remember better, how to study better, how to give more hours on the table than the glory, the respect, the passion that you have for the services. Associated with that is another thing called motivation. As you might have known, I have never been somebody who has motivated anybody on YouTube because I stay away from that. I think what is more important than motivation is clarity, and definitely what is more important than motivation is your discipline. आपको disciplined रहना है rather than motivated. मोटिवेशन की एक बहुत मेजर प्रॉब्लम है, बहुत मेजर प्रॉब्लम है दैट इट इज़ वेरी टेम्पररी. आप कुछ दिन मोटिवेटेड रहोगे एंड देन वंस योर मोटिवेशन गोज अवे फ्रॉम यू विल गो बैक इनटू द स्लम्प दैट यू आर. दिस ईयर मेक अ प्लेज टू बी डिसिप्लिन्ड. One last thing before I go, I'm just telling you what I did. So on my study table, it's still there. There were the words WWTD, meaning what would a topper do in this situation? Because rather than envisioning myself as an officer, I always try to envision myself as somebody who would clear this exam. And in any situation where I had a doubt whether I will should I go to have some fun, or should I study more? Should I invest time in, studying? or should I invest time in having a good time and meeting my friends and spending time with my family, connecting with old friends, watching YouTube? I always ask myself this question: what would a topper do? So similarly, it is my sincere request to all of you that this year, make this the motto of your preparation. Let it be, what would a topper do? And identify yourself as that. In the very famous book, Atomic Habits by James Clear, which I would recommend for everyone, there is a very interesting analogy. तो उस book में वो कहता है कि मान लो जिम जाना आपकी हॉबी है, right? Let's say going to the gym is your hobby, and let's say your goal is to get a good muscular body and get fit. If your only goal is target based, let's say your goal is to get a 6-pack abs, right? जिस दिन वो अचीव हो जाएगा, आप जिम जाना बंद कर दोगे. This is actually better than just having motivation. अगर आप सिर्फ motivation पे rely करोगे तो आप कभी कभी जिम जाओगे, कभी कभी नहीं जाओगे. If you have a target that okay, I want to get a 6-pack abs, जिस दिन वो अचीव हो जाएगा उस दिन आप जाना बंद कर दोगे. But what is the way to constantly go to the gym? And here for us, the gym is the gym of the mind, which is studying. What is the way to constantly study hard? Is to identify yourself as a person who studies hard. So in that book, he writes that you identify yourself as a fit person. That I am a fit person and I will spend my time in a way that keeps my body fit. So rather than having a target that okay, जिस दिन ये हो जाएगा उस दिन मैं जिम जाना छोड़ दूंगा, or having, let's say, a motivation based approach, it's better to identify your character as such. So let's say if you identify yourself as a character of a good student, as somebody who is going to clear this exam, let that drive you rather than motivation. That's my message. And now I'll start taking all of your questions. And thank you all for being here. Yeah, I was just writing that this is just an academic exercise. That's all. इसके beyond ये कुछ नहीं है, तो हम इसी पे ही focus करेंगे this year. All right. So let's get started. Sir, I haven't started economy plus science and tech plus environment and geography. I have started geo, but optional is going on. So how to cover economy and how to follow the plan you are giving also. देखो यार, it will be difficult considering the situation you are in. The plan that I have given for the next 7 months, उसके बारे में भी 10-15 मिनट में मैं आपको बताता हूँ. Rather the next 5 months, the plan that is there for the next 5 months, उसके लिए I have I was planning that with the understanding that somebody who is following this plan will be somebody who has at least studied the basic subjects once. So if you are all in one, if you're absolutely sure that you have to give this year's attempt, then I would say that you stop your optional preparation and finish these subjects as soon as you can. 2027 strategy मैं अभी नहीं बता सकता, that's too far. First thing is comprehensive strategy for 2025. If you are planning for 2025, this is the perfect time to start preparing for this exam. You are in the absolute right time. And within the next 2 weeks, I'll come up with a comprehensive video. Right. Next question. With only so much time left. Okay. So now that you are not offering science and tech, how do we prepare for it? Okay, good question. See, the problem with science and tech is that there is no one source in the market that you can follow. So if you are doing it on your own, my strong recommendation will be that anything that you are reading, it would be better to understand the background of it rather than just reading current affairs and just summing up PT365, for example. Firstly, you need to understand that science and tech is much bigger than PT365. It is not something जो सिर्फ PT365 या current affairs से limited है. You have to understand the background processes of all the topics like biotech, nanotech, AI, defense, space, etc. And maybe Googling a little bit, and rather following videos on YouTube might be a very good idea, where you can get an explanation of all these concepts. If you know the background of the concept, it will be easier to understand. Okay, CSAT. ये एक important question है, so let me, ये काफ़ी लोगों का question भी है, so let me deal with this in detail. देखो यार, CSAT के लिए इस बार I think as is pretty evident, there are 3 things in CSAT. right? There is reading comprehension, there is logical reasoning, and there is maths, or let's call it quantitative aptitude, right? In तीनों चीजों में what used to be the approach was that you will only do 2 of these well and it will suffice. But rather मैं अभी यहाँ पर बोलूँगा कि इससे better ये रहेगा that this year, at least considering how the pattern is becoming more and more difficult, you should target all 3. So in the next 2 months, or in the next 3 months rather, I would recommend that you give 10 days exclusively to CSAT. In this, you should solve the previous year questions, all of them from the past 5 to 6 years, and understand how they're supposed to be solved. ये नहीं कि मैथ्स है तो मैं छोड़ रहा हूँ या मैं सिर्फ आर से एल करके चला जाऊँ. None of this anymore, because it has become unreliable. And I would recommend that every time when you're preparing for this year's prelims, every time when you give a full length test, you give CSAT after that. देखो होता क्या है कि हम जाते हैं, when we are giving full length test, what happens is कि let's say हमने decide किया कि हम Sunday को full length test देंगे. So I'll tell you what happens in the actual prelims. On the actual D day, what is going to happen to you is that you will give prelims from 9:30 to 11:30, which will be prelims paper 1, which is GS. Then there will be a 3-hour break. And then from 2:30 to 4:30, you will be giving the CSAT paper, right? अब यहाँ पर issue क्या है कि when we are actually practicing, let's say when you are in practice, what will happen is first, ये time आप follow नहीं करोगे. You will not follow this time. You will not follow कि मैं अपने सारे पेपर जो देने हैं वो 9:30 से 11:30 ही दूँ. आप कभी भी पेपर दे दोगे. This will be a problem. The second problem is that these 3-hour gap is something we are woefully underprepared for. तो इस साल जो भी फुल लेंथ टेस्ट की आप प्रैक्टिस करो, जो भी 200 नंबर का पेपर 100 MCQ के टेस्ट की आप प्रैक्टिस करो, firstly you try to practice the GS at this time, then you ensure that you take a 3-hour gap and you give the CSAT also. And what would be best is that in this 3 hours you can try and analyze this paper. वो actual day पे नहीं करना है, but why am I telling you not to take a break in these 3 hours and analyze? Because on the actual day, on this day, you will face a lot of stress. घर पे आपको stress नहीं होगा. So if in these 3 hours also you are studying and being productive, it will ensure that you are prepared for the actual day. Other than this, all previous year questions of the past 5 years, understanding every single formula that is behind that, and ensuring that every test you give this year, if you are giving a GS test, you will give a CSAT test after it. You have to. Because ultimately, it is a game of practice. Right? ये सिर्फ practice का game है. All right. Hello sir, there is a lot of time consuming for notes making of monthly magazine. Okay, let me address that. So as far as notes of monthly magazines are concerned, in my opinion, the ideal time to cover one magazine for somebody who is relatively new is 2 days. In these 2 days, what I expect you to do is, let's say the video which I am uploading is combined 6 hours for one magazine, right? You watch the video for 6 hours. Along with this, what you're supposed to do is, when you're watching the video, you mark your own magazine साथ, right? You mark the magazine alongside. So आपका एक बार marking हो गया. Then when you are making notes, these notes are mainly for mains. तो एक तो फेब के बाद अगर आप कोई वीडियो देख रहे हो तो उसकी नोट मेकिंग आप छोड़ सकते हो, बिकॉज दैट कैन बी डन लेटर, राइट? दैट कैन बी डन एट द मेंस टाइम. और फेब तक अगर आप कर रहे हो, जस्ट राइट 1 or 2 words इन द नोट्स. इससे ज्यादा नहीं. आपको मैगजीन की कॉपी नहीं बनानी है अपने नोट्स की. जस्ट 1 or 2 words एंड दैट्स इट. नथिंग मोर देन दिस इज रिक्वायर्ड. व्हाई एम आई सेइंग दिस? बिकॉज मान लो आपने 1-2 words के नोट्स बनाए और आपको कुछ समझ नहीं आया. दिस इज द वर्स्ट थिंग दैट कुड हैपन, right? If you make 1 or 2 word notes, if you don't understand what you have yourself written, और ये होगा, you know आपने कौन सी मैगजीन से पढ़ा है और आपके पास वीडियो रिसोर्स भी है, so you can always go back, right? You can always go back and check. So don't worry about it. But note making will help you a lot. मैं आपको लिख के दे रहा हूँ कि अगर आपने इन सारी मंथली मैगजीन्स के सारे मेन्स टॉपिक्स के नोट्स बना लिए, your means job will be considerably easier. Considerably easier. The Flash is saying your course is amazing. Thank you. And I think you run really fast. Vicky is saying target 100 mocks. Okay. विद ऑल ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट टू विकी, पहले मैं आपको कहूँगा दैट इन दिस एग्जाम, अगेन विकी नथिंग इज मेंट अगेंस्ट यू, प्लीज डोंट टेक एडवाइस from somebody who is not reliable in your eyes, right? Because बहुत इधर उधर की एडवाइस एक तो मार्केट में घूम रही है. The second thing is, as far as mock tests are concerned for this year, although I have already uploaded a plan for this, as far as mock tests are concerned, I would strongly recommend that you only give the mock tests that are helping you improve. किसी भी mock test के कुछ purposes हैं, right? इसका फर्स्ट पर्पस है आपको टाइम मैनेजमेंट सिखाना. सेकंड पर्पस है आपको एमसीक्यू से डील करना सिखाना. थर्ड पर्पस है आपको एग्जाम की फील देना. एंड इफ यू फॉलो माय अप्रोच, आपको साथ में सीसैट भी कराना. डेफिनेटली इसका पर्पस कंटेंट नहीं है. मोर कंटेंट इज नॉट इट्स पर्पस. डेफिनेटली इसका एक पर्पस है आपकी रिविजन को टेस्ट करना. So how many mock tests should you give? Firstly, time management. A mock test that you give in a controlled setting at home, right? If अगर आप घर पे दे रहे हो controlled setting में, you should be able to complete it in maximum 1 hour 40 minutes. इससे ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं लगना चाहिए किसी भी mock test को देने का. तो ये आपका पहला क्राइटेरिया है. जिस दिन तक आपके mock test 1 hour 40 minutes में खत्म जब तक नहीं हो रहे, तब तक देते रहो. वाई एम आई कीपिंग दिस 20 minute लीवे? अगेन फॉर द एग्जाम प्रेशर दैट यू विल फील ऑन द एक्चुअल डे. द सेकेंड थिंग, एमसीक्यू एंड रिविजन. जब आप एक मॉक टेस्ट देते हो ना, देर इज अ वे टू एनालाइज योर पोटेंशियल स्कोर. लेट्स से आपने एक मॉक टेस्ट दिया, ओके, लेट्स से यू गिव अ टेस्ट एंड आपके उसके लेट्स से 15 क्वेश्चंस गलत हैं, राइट? या 15 क्वेश्चंस हैं जो आपको नहीं आते थे. नंबर इससे ज़्यादा होगा बट लेट्स अज्यूम सो. इसमें से आप व्हेन यू आर एनालाइजिंग योर मॉक टेस्ट, फाइंड हाउ मेनी कुड यू हैव एक्चुअली डन करेक्ट. मान लो जो इन 15 में से 5 तो ऐसे हैं जो आपने कभी नहीं पढ़े थे, तो वो तो आप सही कर नहीं सकते थे, राइट? सो जस्ट लीव देम. बचे कितने? 10. ये वो हैं जो आपने कभी नहीं पढ़े, तो इनको इन पे बुरा फील करने का कोई रीजन नहीं है, चाहे नंबर 50 भी हो. 10 बचे. इन 10 में कुछ होंगे जो आपने सिली मिस्टेक्स कर रखे होंगे कि आपको पढ़ने के बाद भी आपने गलत कर दिया. यू न्यू द कंटेंट, यू कुड सी द क्वेश्चन, एनालाइज द क्वेश्चन, think about the right answer but still got it wrong. This is the first category of error. The second category of error is that you could not recall. आपने पढ़ा था बट आपको याद नहीं आया, राइट? यही दो मेन कैटेगरी ऑफ एरर्स हैं, है ना? जब ये दो कैटेगरी ऑफ एरर्स हैं, जिस दिन ये कैटेगरी ऑफ एरर्स लेस देन 3 हो जाए ये नंबर, उस दिन आप मॉक टेस्ट देना छोड़ सकते हो, बिकॉज यू हैव अचीव्ड व्हाट यू हैड टू अचीव. नए कंटेंट के लिए प्लीज कृपया करके मॉक टेस्ट ना दे. These are the 2 criteria you follow. First, 1 hour 40 minutes, and second, 10 questions. These questions that you get wrong through silly or recall, या तो silly errors हैं या recall errors हैं, जब तक ये less than 3 नहीं हो रहे, ठीक है, तब तक आप इनको दो. जिस दिन आपके 3 से कम है, आप इसको खत्म कर दो, राइट? ओके. My study sessions become boring. Okay, so there is a very unique and important solution to this. देखो, a lot of us feel that when we are studying, it does tend to get boring. हो जाता है boring, and this is pretty normal, right? Especially when it gets boring is when you start revising. अगर आप कोई चीज़ पहली बार पढ़ रहे हो, right? तो it's never going to be a problem. At least मेरे लिए नहीं होती थी, because it's something new. It's something new that you are learning, and it's something different. तो आपको मजा आएगा. But when you have already learned, and then you are revising, और let's say आपको एक level तक आता भी है, then it becomes a problem. So again, here I have recommended this before also, and I'll say it again. What you need to do here is think about active recall when you are studying. And to give you a live demonstration of this, if you would just give me a minute, I'll open my Lakshmikant here and I'll show you what exactly I mean by this. Just give me a minute. I'm opening my book and I'm showing you how I would, study or do active recall. I'll do a live demonstration for you. Right? Just give me a second. Okay. So yeah, so let's say this is the chapter of president. अब मैं इसे पहले पढ़ चुका हूँ और अब मैं next time I'm revising it. So obviously it will become a boring experience because it's not something that is new to me. I've studied this before. मुझे idea भी होगा. So what I'll do is I'll look at the index, right? And then I'll try to analyze every single thing और मैं देखूंगा कितना याद है. अगर मैं प्रेसिडेंट की बात करूं तो क्या क्या बता रखा होगा लक्ष्मीकांत ने. प्रेसिडेंट का इलेक्शन कैसे होता है, प्रेसिडेंट का रिमूवल कैसे होता है, प्रेसिडेंट की पावर्स क्या हैं, प्रेसिडेंट का वीटो एंड टाइप्स ऑफ वीटो, हिज रिलेशनशिप टू द पार्लियामेंट, द इंपॉर्टेंट आर्टिकल्स, राइट. Relationship to parliament basically means his relationship to the bills, where he should consent and should he not consent, and is it his right, does he have a veto, does he not have a veto, etc etc. मेरे को ये अभी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ें याद आ रही हैं. तो बिफोर आई स्टार्ट रिवाइजिंग मैं ये नहीं करूँगा कि मैं बुक खोल के स्टार्ट हो जाऊँ कि अच्छा इलेक्शन कैसे होता था. दिस इज नॉट व्हाट आई एम गोइंग टू डू व्हेन आई एम रिवाइजिंग. व्हाट आई एम गोइंग टू डू इज, अच्छा मैं रिवाइज कर रहा हूँ, मैं एक बार पहले पढ़ चुका हूँ, ठीक है, लेट्स स्टार्ट. इलेक्शन कैसे होता था, लेट मी ट्राई एंड थिंक. अगर मेरे दिमाग में मुझे याद आ जाता है और फिर मैं चेक करता हूँ कि वो ठीक है, देन मैं इलेक्शन दोबारा नहीं रीड करने वाला. देन रिमूवल, लेट मी थिंक प्रेसिडेंट का रिमूवल कैसे होता है. अगर मुझे याद आ रहा है, इफ आई एम एबल टू रिमेंबर द एंटायर प्रोसेस, देन ठीक है, आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू रीड इट अगेन, आई एम जस्ट गोइंग टू चेक. एंड सिमिलरली यू रिपीट इट फॉर एवरीथिंग, and repeat it for everything that you're revising also. That is why when I was teaching, I was giving 1-pager notes ताकि आप ये काम कर सको. इसका फ़ायदा क्या है, इसका मेन फ़ायदा ये है कि एक तो it will make your sessions interesting. When you are revising, it will be like a small test that you are taking of yourself, right? So it makes it very interesting. आप कभी बोर नहीं होगे. 2, it saves time. आपको दोबारा बुक as it is याद करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. And thirdly and most importantly, if this is the approach that you're going to follow, it is definitely going to make you remember much more than it would in case you were to just reread. तो इन तीनों चीज़ों की वजह से you try and follow this, your revision will never be boring, you will remember more and you will revise much faster. Okay. How to prepare art and culture. So जो ये subject specific questions है, so I am getting a lot of these subject specific questions, let's say how to do this subject etc etc. तो इसकी एक बात करते हैं. देखो what has happened is that, as you know, I have already uploaded a 5-month plan, right? And in this 5-month plan I have talked about how to go about things. I am assuming कि आपने एक बार आपने basics cover कर रखे हैं हर चीज़ के, but you do need help as the prelims is approaching. So as this plan starts on 15th January, right? So the idea here is that every first day of the plan, जैसे 15 जनवरी को ये plan start है, and let's say, you know, on the on 15th January what you're going to do is you're going to start with, let's say, polity. तो उस दिन उससे पहले ही rather I'm going to ensure that I upload a video on polity, where you can understand all the things that you need for polity, right? अभी मैं वो plan ही खोल रहा था actually. So if you look at it, yeah, it's right here, right? So you start with polity, and May की magazine आपको करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. You start with June monthly magazine, right? So polity and June monthly magazine is something you start on the 15th, or rather on the 22nd. और ये days reserve हैं, yes. So you will have to start on the 15th. So you start on the 15th. A detailed video about how you're supposed to follow this plan is already there, right? I've already uploaded that. So आप मान लो 15th को start कर रहे हो and you're doing polity. So before 15th, rather on 14th or something, I'll upload a video where I'll tell you what you're supposed to do in the next 2 weeks. What I want is basically that you follow this plan with me. So I'm here, I'll give you targets. In that video, I'll tell you what the target for the next few days is, how you're supposed to crack it, and what you're supposed to do. जैसे अगर हम 15 से लेके यहाँ पे आपको दिख नहीं रहा होगा वीडियो में, but from 15th Jan to 4th Feb, rather it will not be 4th, so it will be 31st. So from 28th. So from 15th Jan to 28th, these first 2 weeks, we are doing polity. So if we are doing polity in the first 2 weeks, a video will come on the 14th, where I will talk to you in detail about how you're supposed to plan your next 2 weeks. What all things you're supposed to study, इसमें क्या क्या करना है, what is the way forward. The only thing that I request from all of you is that you follow it diligently and keep giving me feedback. So if I see feedback and if I see people are following it, it ensures that I am also, motivated, and it gives me a sense of satisfaction that all of you are also following it and it is helping some people. So firstly, before you could just hold on your comments for a while, मैं आपसे ये पूछ रहा हूँ if you are okay with this. So the idea is that let's say ये plan है, पहले कुछ दिन पॉलिटी है, फिर अगले कुछ दिन इकोनॉमी है, हर 2-2 हफ्ते में कुछ हमें करना है. So what I'll do is every 2 weeks, whatever next subject has to come, I will upload a video for that. आप उसको follow करो and you track your targets, and those will also be explained in that video. If you're going to follow it, you can write yes in the chat now. So I know that there are people who are going to who will follow it and who will be happy with it, and I will definitely then go forward and do it. राइट. सो यही प्लान है. जैसे मान लो 15th को हमने पॉलिटी स्टार्ट करना है, तो 14th के वीडियो में आई टेल यू वेयर टू स्टडी, क्या क्या सोर्सेज हैं, लक्ष्मीकांत के अलावा क्या पढ़ना होता है, व्हाट ऑल एल्स यू नीड टू डू, टेस्ट कौन सा देना है, कहाँ से देना है, कब देना है, CSAT वाला टेस्ट कैसे देना है, जून की मंथली मैगजीन साथ में करनी है, उसको कैसे रिवाइज करना है. एंड आई पुट अ पोस्ट ऑन टेलीग्राम, right, where you can track your targets. I'll give you daily targets. So I'll tell you, अच्छा 15th को all of this you should complete, 16th को all of this you should complete, 17th को ये, 18th को ये, etc. I'll do a 2-week deep dive, and this I will keep doing till the time you get to prelims. So let's say we start with polity. So I will start with everything that you're supposed to do. Then we go to economy. Then we'll talk about everything that you're supposed to do. And if you can follow that, right, then I assure you that your preparation at least would be in the best possible manner. मैं आपको ये नहीं गारंटी कर सकता कि आपके बेस्ट मार्क्स आ जाएंगे, मैं आपको ये गारंटी नहीं कर सकता कि आपका प्रीलिम्स क्लियर हो जाएगा, बट आई विल डेफिनेटली गारंटी टू यू दैट योर प्रिपरेशन इज गोइंग टू बी वेरी वेरी ऑप्टिमाइज्ड. राइट. ओके. नाउ ओके, सो लेट्स गेट बैक टू दिस. एक क्वेश्चन जो मॉक्स पे लोग पूछ रहे थे was with regards to how much marks did I get, or what are the ideal marks for mocks. Again, like I have told you, mock test देने की सिर्फ 2 ही चीज़ें हैं जो ट्रैक करनी है. जिस दिन आपका मॉक टेस्ट इतने टाइम में ख़त्म हो जाए एंड आपके सिली मिस्टेक्स, सॉरी अबाउट दिस, आपके सिली मिस्टेक्स एंड आपके एरर्स वेयर यू हैव मेड सिली मिस्टेक्स और रिकॉल एरर्स, ये दोनों चीज़ें जब नंबर 3 से कम हो जाएं, right, when you have less than 3 silly mistakes and errors and you have completed your paper in 1 hour 40 minutes, उस दिन आप mock test में, उस mock test में you have done brilliantly well. Doesn't matter even if your score is 80, doesn't matter if your score is 170. It's possible that you get 120 in a mock test, लेकिन आपकी अगर silly mistakes और recall errors 10 से ज़्यादा हैं, then that is not the best way to give that mock test. राइट, वो एक अच्छा तरीका बिल्कुल भी नहीं है. सिमिलरली, इफ लेट्स से यू आर स्कोरिंग 150 बट इट्स टेकिंग यू 2 hours 10 minutes, इट इज अगेन नॉट द बेस्ट वे एंड यू हैव नॉट परफेक्टेड द आर्ट. जिस दिन आपका आर्ट परफेक्ट हो जाएगा, उस दिन यू कैन लीव मॉक टेस्ट. लोग कह रहे हैं आप लेट मत होना. हाँ, 100%, डोंट डाउट इट, इट विल बी देयर. मंथली मैगजीन वाली वीडियोज में देयर इज दिस इशू ऑफ मर्जिंग एंड एवरीथिंग, बट अदरवाइज इफ लेट्स से दैट इशू इज नॉट देयर, आई एम जनरली नॉट लेट. So for 2023 mains appeared student, what should be the plan? I am currently doing optional. Okay, good question. Let me deal with it in detail. So if you are somebody who has appeared in the 2023 mains, right? So I am assuming that you are thoroughly aware about what to do in prelims since you've cleared it once. तो आपको एक basic idea है. For you, I would recommend that till Feb 15th, you can spend time merely improving your score of mains. Now how do you do that? And this is the same process I have followed. मैंने जो चीज़ करी है, जो चीज़ मैंने करी थी अपने 2021 मेंस में after I failed in the mains in 2021, my idea was to improve my anthropology score. So what I would recommend is that out of the 7 marked papers, 1 of essay, 4 of GS and 2 of optional, pick any two that you feel you need the most improvement in. And the day you get those two, and you figured out, okay, let's say I need improvement in optional paper 1 and GS4. Till Feb 15th, just work on those two papers. And after Feb 15th, you can start focusing on prelims. But I'm again telling you, if you are a mains prepared candidate, this is probably the most crucial time for you to improve your main score, because this time will never come back. The moment you get back into prelims prep, it is only going to be prelims focused. You're going to forget what you've done for the mains, and it will be a similar story next year. जो improvement है, जो quality आप अपने work में डाल सकते हो, it is only at this time, right? So just focus on that. Now, a question is about upcoming videos. So वो मैं बता देता हूँ. So as far as upcoming videos are concerned, एक तो मैंने आपको बता दिया for every topic, right? For every topic, or rather every subject that you are going to do in that plan, I'm going to give you a video and a target one day before that particular target is started, and you can track it. And I will interact on Telegram on those posts so that I can ensure that, okay, people are doing well. All right. Second thing is, I wanted to start this series called Honest Talk. So I want that on YouTube, I can just speak to you. That won't have all of this setup. It'll just be me speaking into the mic on things like, for example, today I was speaking on the fact that this is just an exam. I know you're going to run through a lot of emotions in the next 6 months. There'll be some bad days, there'll be lonely days, there'll be depressing days. So I do want to talk about all of those issues, and I will come up with that too. Number 3 is, of course, I'm going to continue the monthly magazine series and take it to its logical conclusion. I'm going to make some videos on CSAT to ensure that you can solve this problem also. And other than that, if there is anything that you need, subjects cover basically everything. Other than this, if there is basically anything you need, I think I can do one on 2025 and one I can do on mock tests and how to improve your score and what you're supposed to do. And yes, most importantly, something that I forgot to mention is that these live sessions, इस पे please मुझे बता देना. These live sessions is something that I think a lot of people have come up to me and said that they are pretty helpful. So I've decided to make these live sessions weekly. So I'm planning that at least once a week, I will come on live in these mentorship sessions and try and talk to you so that I can, address whatever issues that you have. If this is okay with everyone, that's great. If there's anything else, you can write in the suggestions. Okay. So is Mrunal necessary for economics? वैसे तो जब economics का time आएगा तो हम बात कर लेंगे. And a sincere request to anybody who's writing these comments, please write Mrunal sir. He is a very, very senior person and he's a very respectable teacher. तो या तो Mrunal sir के notes, something like that. It's just good to show respect to somebody who's been teaching for such a long time. The problem in economics, unfortunately, is that there is no one good solution in the market. And if I be very honest with you, if I was to study again, I would again study from Mrunal sir's notes. But I don't think they are the most optimum solution. I think a better solution can be made, but unfortunately, it is not there yet. So till someone comes up with it, if you ask me, I would be very happy to continue with what Mrunal sir has taught. Other than that, it is pretty much okay. हाँ यार 5 के बाद 6 आता है, यहाँ पे 6 लिखा है. And thank you for teaching me how to count. Rameshwar sir notes, I'm not aware of how he teaches. Vivek Singh, haven't read that book yet, but I've not heard a lot of things also, but like if you're finding it okay and you're able to solve the mocks, that's great. Maybe Vivek Singh plus monthly magazine should work. Don't worry, wait for me to come out with my video on economics. When I make the video on economics, I will analyze every book that's there in the market. Rupal is saying, thank you for the weekly sessions, it does get lonely. Yes, yaar, dekho, ye hai problem. As far as loneliness is concerned, if you're not feeling lonely in this exam, then there is a problem. Like honestly, I realized this once, once I had gotten selected and I went to Labasna. I made very good friends there. I think probably the best friends of my life. And then it got me thinking why. I've been in college, I've been in school, but the 4 years that I was preparing, मैंने 2 attempts दिए हैं. That does not mean I've just prepared for 2 years. I have prepared for 4 years, and I think more people should be very honest about that. But in the 4 years that I was preparing, there is a tendency to cut yourself off from people. Like, I started preparing in 2019, which was my final year of college. Then 2020, my year of internship, and 21 and 22, which I was just at home preparing while I was doing a side job. So in those 4 years, there was a huge tendency in my head to cut off from people because I did not want to tell everyone that I was preparing, and I was very unsure how they'll take it, whether they'll like it or not, etc. etc. तो हुआ क्या, जब मैं लवासना गया मुझे रियलाइज हुआ that only the very, very close people from school and college were still with me. And I had lost most of my, casual friends, as I like to call them. That is why I probably made very good friends in Labasna, because I'd got, a lot of friendships had gotten lost during the way, because ye hota hai. So firstly, if you're feeling lonely during the process of this exam, it is completely okay. It is something that happens to the best of us. Just know that you are, doing something at a higher level, something that is bigger than you. You're trying to be part of something that is greater than you. And the second thing is, I would still recommend that don't cut off completely. I think at least a small set of friends, some from the UPSC space and some outside the UPSC space, are essential. And I think this was the mistake I made. I cut off myself a lot. And as a result, I was depressed for a long time, especially after my 2021 mains results. I had to seek counseling as well. So I think that was a major factor there, was the fact that I did cut myself off, and bilkuli, absolutely. So maybe you can keep 1 day a week, right? You can keep 1 day a week for yourself and keep interacting with whatever friends you have. Mahesh is asking, sir, how to make notes for optional. I've already uploaded a video on anthropology, but of course it's going to be different for every optional. So for your optional, you can find somebody who has already made it, etc. What schedule should we follow for prelims right now? Okay, so there's already a video on YouTube for the next 5 months. I think that is probably, in my opinion, it's the best schedule. And if I was preparing, I'd follow the same schedule. So mere opinion mein, you follow that schedule and keep sticking with it. Once you're sticking with that schedule, just ensure that I will be giving you videos 1 day before you start every topic. So it can be like a hand holding thing, right? And you can just follow those targets exclusively, right? So if that is something that you'd like to do, you can follow that, and mere hisab se that'll be fine. Yes, one more video that I'd like to make. Yes, this is another thing that I have planned, and it will be out, I think, very soon. I have been working on this. Is number 8, an analysis of the 2023 prelims. And trust me, this will probably be the most shocking video of all of this. Because honestly, I had also been recently selected when 2023 prelims happened. मैंने खुद paper दिया नहीं था, so I did not analyze it in as much depth as I should have. But अब करा था मैंने. So if you want a too long don't read summary of my analysis of prelims 2023, it's very simple. It was a paper where obviously the options were difficult. The option format was difficult rather. The content was not. If you could stay, very big ifs, but if you could stay calm in the exam hall and you had done your basic subjects well, you could easily score 90 in that paper. But again, big if of staying calm in the exam hall. That's not something all of us can do. It's not easy. But if you could stay calm in the exam hall, and if you had covered your basic subjects well, it was a paper where you could get 90 marks from just the basic books. But again, it is not easy. Not easy to stay calm. Okay. So your S&T course sufficient for prelims 2024? Yeah. So this question, for anybody who's taken my course, Science and Tech or Environment, and they've taken it for 2024, the only thing that you need to add is current affairs. Everything else is more than sufficient. This year also, as I was doing the prelims 2023 analysis, out of the 27 questions that came for Science and Tech Environment, I think more than 17 or 18 were covered in what I had taught. And in these subjects, if you get more than a 50% hit rate, it's good enough, because you know इस साल कैसा पेपर था, right? So just add the current affairs. और ये आप कहाँ से करोगे? I am teaching the monthly magazines, वहाँ से current affair add कर लेना, इससे ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं करना है. Sessions on mental health channel, yes, definitely that's something I'm going to do. I'm sorry, I haven't been able to find the time, and people are also busy, as a lot of my friends are in training, or my friends in the IAS are currently on their Bharat Darshan. So as soon as I get time, I will do that. Don't worry about it. Okay. Please upload your ethics notes. That's not something I'm going to do, very simply because my marks in ethics were low. And whatever mistakes, I still don't know what mistakes I made. मेरे हिसाब से मेरा पेपर बहुत अच्छा हुआ था. So whatever I did, I definitely was doing something wrong. So I don't want you to repeat the same mistakes. But I have made a video with Anirudh Yadav, who is rank 8 this year. आप वो video देख सकते हो, and I think he's helped very brilliantly. Okay, so K. Chandana Shri is saying, please teach PT 365. Okay. Yeah, I'm already doing monthly magazines. Please get this in your head. If you've done the monthly magazines properly, you don't need to do PT 365. You don't need to do Mains 365. I'll tell you what happens. This is the newspaper. A summary out of this is made into a monthly magazine. A summary out of all the monthly magazines of 6 or 7 months are made into PT 365 and are made into Mains 365. This is how the process is. राइट तो न्यूज़पेपर से कुछ एनालाइज करके पहले यहाँ जाता है और फिर यहीं से समरी उठा के यहाँ चली जाती है. तो जब हम इस स्टेप पे हम ये चीज़ कवर कर रहे हैं, वी डोंट नीड एनीथिंग न्यू, राइट? नथिंग न्यू इज़ नीडेड. आपको PT 365 या Mains 365 पे फोकस करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. आप मेरे साथ मंथली मैगजीन्स कर लो, दैट विल बी मोर देन सफिशिएंट. अगर ऐसा हुआ कि लेट्स से हमने मंथली मैगजीन्स कवर फ्रॉम जून टू जनवरी, सो लेट्स से हमने जून टू जनवरी की मंथली मैगजीन्स कर ली, एंड स्टिल लेट्स से कि कुछ चीज़ें हैं जो PT 365 में एक्स्ट्रा हैं, आई विल टीच दोज थिंग्स टू यू, बट दैट्स माई रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. इफ आई हैव टेकन द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फॉर करंट अफेयर्स, देन इट्स समथिंग दैट यू कैन कम्प्लीटली रिलाई ऑन, राइट? एंड जो आपका शेड्यूल है उस हिसाब से आपने जो मंथली मैगजीन्स करनी है, डोंट वरी, मेरे साथ आप करोगे तो इवन द प्रीलिम्स शेड्यूल विल मैच विद व्हाट आई एम टीचिंग, सो डोंट नीड टू वरी अबाउट दैट. No, PT 365 is absolutely not necessary if you're doing the monthly magazines. You have to pick. Samiksha is saying, I agree with your 2023 view. Even when I analyzed after the exam, I felt I messed it up because I panicked. That is correct. That's absolutely correct. And for this, there are two things that I had recommended, and a lot of people have come back to me and said that it helps. So I'll just give you a brief summary. So let's say आपको अपना prelims का पेपर मिला, and this is something that you can practice even in your mock tests. When you are giving mock tests, this is something I would like you to practice. That first, smile, right? Smile when you are giving the exam, not because this is not a spiritual thing. It's not something कि आप बहुत अच्छा लगेगा अंदर से, you'll get positive vibes and some dopamine release or serotonin release is going to happen in your body. It is scientifically proven that if you smile, you take lesser stress. It's not possible to take a lot of stress with a smiling face. And of course, we are stressed when we look at a new thing, a tough thing on the prelims day. The first thing is you smile when you look at the paper. And it's not for some spiritual reason, but for the very simple reason that it will reduce your stress automatically. It's one of the best things you can do. Second, flip the paper in the first 5 minutes. आप देखोगे, most people, I would say 98% of the people who are giving the prelims are out of the game in the first 5 minutes or before it. या तो उन्होंने उससे पहले अच्छी मेहनत नहीं करी, या वो पहले 5 मिनट में इतने स्ट्रेस आउट हो जाते हैं that they would not do well to just put their knowledge in one place, stay calm and answer the questions. What they do is they will mess up a lot of answers. पहले 5 मिनट में 4 गलतियां कर दी, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा. सो व्हाट आई वुड रिकमेंड इज दैट यू फ्लिप द पेपर. पहले 5 मिनट में देख लो. एवरी ईयर देयर इज गोइंग टू बी अ शॉक. Every year there is going to be a shock. Every year there is going to be something that you had not expected. So in all of that, right, do ensure that you take 5 minutes to just look at how the paper is. And तभी मैं आपको अभी कह रहा हूँ कि mock test 1 hour 40 minutes में खत्म करो, ताकि you have time for these things at the end of the day. When you spend that time, things do become easier for you. And the third thing you can do, and I think this is something which not everybody can do, but see, if you are going into the prelims, knowing that you have a backup career option available to you, you are definitely going to be more calm. So इसके बारे में मैंने videos भी बनाई हैं. I've also gotten a career counselor on this channel to talk about what options you could have. Definitely focus on that. If you're going into the prelims, knowing that if you don't make it, you have a good enough backup, it is a big deal. It is a big deal for you to do. What software do I use for one-pager notes? It is called Xmind. I'll just write it here, and it's a very good software. I think you can all try it if you want to make mind maps. It's called Xmind. Very simple software to make mind maps, and मेरे को काफी help किया इसने. I made all my interview notes on Xmind. Sure, should I fully focus on prelims now, or little time? Should I spend some time on mains? Again, I've made a video on this. मेरे हिसाब से the day for exclusive prelims preparation, if you have not cleared the prelims before, is 15 January. If you have cleared the prelims before, you can still take one more month and start on 15th Feb. Arsenal Football Club is ruining mental health. Testify to that. 100% it is ruining my mental health. I don't know why I support that club. Sir, I'm currently pursuing MSc and I'm inclined towards UPSC. What should I do, keeping in mind the backup? Should I prepare for CSIR or should I focus on UPSC? Kumar, I would say that in the first 2 attempts is not the backup that you need. I would say that you would need 2 years exclusively to prepare for this exam. But if you've given 2 attempts and you've not gotten anywhere, you've not gotten if you've not written the mains in 2 attempts, definitely you should try and have a backup. Sir, I'm giving daily mock tests which cost me 7 hours, so unable to manage GS CSAT. Okay, firstly, stop giving daily mock tests if this is your problem. Give mock tests only on Sundays. इतने टेस्ट की जरूरत नहीं होती. Give tests only on Sundays. Daily mock test की बिल्कुल जरूरत नहीं है. And अगर आपको 7 घंटे लग रहे हैं किसी mock test को करने में, तो definitely you are doing something wrong. I'll upload a video soon on how to handle a mock test, how to analyze it the best way. Should you give it online or offline? क्या करना चाहिए? I'll tell you every aspect that is connected to that. But again, a very simple request that if it's taking you, if it's taking you 7 hours, then something is definitely going wrong and something is clearly not right. न्यूज़पेपर को लेके क्या अप्रोच होनी चाहिए, रीड करें या नहीं? मैं तो नहीं कहूँगा कि रीड करना चाहिए, एटलीस्ट प्रीलिम्स के लिए. एंड नाउ अगर अभी तक नहीं पढ़ा है तो नहीं, बट येस, इफ यू आर रीडिंग इट एंड यू आर एबल टू मैनेज इट, गुड फॉर यू एंड गो अहेड. Thank you, Minita. I am good. A lot of channels talk about 40 years of PYQs. No, I don't think it's needed. 40 साल के पेपर करके क्या करोगे? 10 साल के कर लो ढंग से. I think that would be more than enough. Please teach economics. Okay, so I still haven't made the decision to quit the services and start teaching. But if I was to teach, economics is definitely a subject I would like to teach, especially because I think it is not that difficult. And especially because I think there is no solution in the market as of yet. Right now, all the solutions that are there are in some way or the other have some or the other problems associated with them. Strategy for CA, follow the monthly magazine videos. इससे ज़्यादा कुछ करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. PYQ analysis. Yeah, this is something, again, I'll just write it here. This is also something that I would like to talk about, how to use PYQs, especially for your mains, and how to use them now, because I think after the way the 2023 paper was structured, you can no longer continue to do PYQs in the same way. So there is a different approach that you need to follow, and I'll tell you about it. Sir, doing daily 50 questions is a good idea or not? No, absolutely, it's a very bad idea, because A, it will waste a lot of your time, and B, it will not give you the feel of the exam. The exam is for 100 questions. It is for 2 hours and it's meant to be on a Sunday from 9:30 to 11:30. So give your mock test in the exact same way, right? We need help in economics. देखो यार, इस साल तो I can't teach because I mean it's not also the time, and economics is not a small subject that can be taught in, let's say, 15-20 days. What I can do is when I'm teaching them in the monthly magazine, I can start teaching a little bit more. इकोनॉमिक्स में आई कैन स्टार्ट टीचिंग सम प्रीलिम्स कॉन्सेप्ट्स मंथली मैगजीन्स के साथ साथ, ताकि इट बिकम्स ईजी फॉर यू. And if I ever do decide to teach and resign from the services, economics is definitely a subject I'll pick up. Science and tech के लिए आपके lectures available रहेंगे. Yes, now you can't purchase the course, but if you've had purchased it before, it is available. वो तब तक है उसकी validity. How to... Hello sir, PSI or optional में last 10 PYQ, last 10 years PYQ is enough. Oh, I don't have that optional, so I can't really comment. To handle CSAT, I'll make a video soon about CSAT and how you can handle it. I don't think it's that difficult, honestly, even after seeing this year's paper. It's just that it requires more time, and no doubt about it, more time is needed. But as far as the CSAT idea is concerned, if you give it more time, I don't think you should find it as difficult. Thank you, Piyush. Very nice to hear. How to prepare anthropology as a beginner for 2027? Too far away, I would say. Maybe you could start with reading Ember and Ember. Should we make pre-specific notes, and if yes, then for what subjects? Prelim specific notes, as far as I'm concerned, I had made for polity, because I felt Lakshmikant too bulky to revise. Did not make them for economy because I was able to revise from Mrinal sir's notes. Did not make them for modern history. Did not make them for art and culture. Made them for geography, environment, and science and tech. So whatever subject you feel is not something that you can easily revise from a book is something you need to make notes on. Right? If you're comfortable with the book, for example, I was very comfortable with revising Spectrum quickly. So if that is something you're comfortable with, then no need to make notes. It's a very simple idea. So please wear casuals. This is intimidating. Okay. So the idea is that I'm only wearing formals right now because I don't believe on coming on any platform which is public without being dressed properly. How to prepare Mrinal sir's economy notes in 2 weeks. Wait for the video. जब economy की बात आएगी, we will talk about it. Right. Sir, okay, too many questions. Sir, your course in mains and S&T really helped me a lot. Lots of procrastination. Can you please suggest me how to overcome with it? Gautam, procrastination is a big problem, and nobody knows it better than me, especially in this phase of life that I am right now. मैं भी बहुत procrastinate करता हूँ. So that's, firstly, it's completely normal and happens to the best of us. But when you're in that cycle, you know, what you feel is कि यार ठीक है कर लेंगे. That is the idea. So again, I would say that if that is, you know, hampering you, just try to think of the long-term vision, right? And try to follow a morning routine. ये दो चीजें करके I have managed to overcome procrastination issues whenever I have faced them. For example, firstly, try to get up in the morning on time and follow a routine in the morning where you study for 30 minutes within the first hour of waking up. Let's say if you wake up at 8, by 9 o'clock, you should have studied for 30 minutes. If you've done that, you're going to have a wonderful day. No doubt about it. If you analyze and work hard in the first hour, the rest of your day is going to go pretty well. And secondly, as far as you know, having a long-term vision is concerned, the illusion, I would say, that we have a lot of time is something that is only there as long as we let it exist. If you look at the plans that you have for the rest of the year, if you try and put it on paper, if you write it in a calendar, you realize that you are absolutely short on time. And no matter what stage of preparation you're in, there's no way that you have enough time in this exam. At all times, time is the most precious resource in UPSC, much more than money. So again, even as far as coachings are concerned, I'm only saying this since you mentioned my course, I believe the main job of any coaching is to save your time and do things that you won't do for yourself. So time is the most precious resource in this exam, and wasting it is honestly criminal. Still, it does happen. It is normal. सबके साथ होता है at some point or the other. So I would just recommend that look at the long-term vision. Write a plan on paper. आपको realize हो जाएगा कि बहुत ज़्यादा crisis है. And second, have a good morning routine. If in the morning you can get up and in the first 30 minutes do well, I don't think it's going to be a problem for the rest of the day. Karthike, I'm going to block you because I think a lot of comments like this have come. Please stay serious here. I found history the toughest. Please tell something about it. Whenever the time for history comes, and a video will be there and you can manage that. How is your preparation going? Well, I firstly like to make a decision about my career and then go forward. Yeah, future plans still deciding. Don't know. Okay, Lohit, understood. We'll do that. How much questions should I attempt in mock test? Again, something that I'll deal with. There's not, if you want an answer, there is not a fixed number. ठीक है, कोई ऐसा fixed number नहीं है कि मुझे इतने questions attempt करने हैं. Firstly, get that idea out of your head. ठीक है, कैसे decide होता है how many questions you're going to attempt? Obviously, you can't go in with a number यार. अगर मान लो ऐसा पेपर आ जाए जिसमें 100 के 100 आसान है, तो भी आप ये थोड़ी बोलोगे कि नहीं मैं तो 80 करके आऊँगा. और ऐसा पेपर आ जाए जिसमें 40 क्वेश्चन ऐसे हैं जो किसी ने सुने नहीं है, तो भी आप ये बोल के नहीं जा सकते कि मैं 80 करके जाऊँगा. सो व्हाट इज़ द वे टू डिसाइड मॉक टेस्ट में कितने क्वेश्चन करने होते हैं? देखो, यू हैव अ सिंपल, यू कैन फॉर्म अ सिंपल एल्गोरिदम इन योर हेड. व्हाट इज द एल्गोरिदम? ठीक है, कितनी नेगेटिव मार्किंग है? 1/3 नेगेटिव मार्किंग है. ठीक है, -33% इज व्हाट वी गेट इफ वी गेट समथिंग रॉन्ग. So let's say if you're 100% sure about the question, obviously you're going to attempt it, right? तो इसमें तो कोई doubt ही नहीं है. If you are 50% sure, so what is going to happen? If you attempt 2 questions that are where you're 50% sure, one you will get correct and one you will get wrong. Speaking only statistically, right? And you're going to have more than 2, so the probability is going to work out. अगर आप 2 क्वेश्चन करोगे और आप 50% श्योर हो, तो एक में आपको मिलेंगे +2 और एक में आपको मिलेंगे -0.66. सो द नेट बेनिफिट यू आर गोइंग टू हैव इज 1.33. तो आपको कर लेना चाहिए. सो इफ यू आर 100% श्योर अबाउट द आंसर, डेफिनेटली अटेम्प्ट. इफ यू आर 50% श्योर ऑफ द आंसर, डेफिनेटली अटेम्प्ट. अब बात करते हैं 33%. लेट्स से यू हैव एलिमिनेटेड वन ऑप्शन एंड नाउ इट्स ऑन 33%. तो अगर मान लो रैंडमली आप 3 क्वेश्चन करोगे वेयर there are 33% sure, तो 3 में से आपका एक सही होगा. So you'll have +1 and negative in the other 2, right? So here also you will get a +2, a -0.66 and a -0.66. So you're going to be net positive here also. तो even if you have a 1/3 possibility, अगर आपको लगता है कि मैंने एक ऑप्शन एलिमिनेट कर लिया है, तो आपको वो क्वेश्चन अटेम्प्ट कर देना चाहिए, प्रोवाइडेड अ ह्यूज इफ हियर इज दैट देन यू हैव टू अटेम्प्ट ऑल सच क्वेश्चंस. एंड मैं आपको ये बता रहा हूँ एक्सपीरियंस से दैट इन द एग्जाम हॉल ये आपसे नहीं होगा. ठीक है, ये आप कर ही नहीं पाओगे. यू डोंट हैव इतना कॉन्फिडेंस या इतनी हिम्मत नहीं होती किसी में कि वो सारे एक ऑप्शन एलिमिनेट करने वाले भी सारे कर दे, बिकॉज वी आर वेरी स्कैर्ड ऑफ नेगेटिव मार्किंग. सो व्हाट इज द आइडिया? ये सारे करो, ये सारे करो, and try to at least attempt 50% of these, at least, by trying to eliminate some more options. This is the number. The ideal number of you to attempt is attempting every question you're 100% sure about, every question you're 50% sure about, and every question you're 30% sure about. If this is the number of questions you're attempting, it's fine. And it's simple maths. There's no philosophy behind it. कोई ऐसा number नहीं है. How to integrate classroom notes with static books? You're getting frustrated by it. Okay, I understand. देखो, wherever you are taking a classroom foundation course, I think this is what you mean. So let's say you have a foundation course, and I faced this same problem, so I can relate with you, and this is something that you do that is genuinely an issue. So let's say you're doing a classroom course or a foundation course, and उन्होंने आपको modern history पढ़ाया है आज. So what you need to do is you go to Spectrum, read the same chapter on the same day, and whatever is extra you add in these notes. अगर आप ये काम सेम डे पे नहीं करोगे तो ये कभी भी नहीं होने वाला लाइफ में. So if you don't do it on that very same day, you are not going to make it and not going to have the time to do it later. Same day जो सब्जेक्ट पढ़ाया उसकी बुक से पढ़ के ऐड कर लो. This is the only solution. How many effective hours per day? Okay, So मैंने already एक video बनाई हुई है on how to use the Forest app. I'll probably make another video this year on how to ensure that you can get the most out of the study time and you can study as much as you want or get the maximum output. In my opinion, an ideal daily schedule would be which will give you 50 hours of good study in a week. And this, I'm talking about absolutely focused hours where you're not looking at your phone, where you're not getting distracted. None of it matters. 50 hours per week should be the target. Early bird or night owl, does this matter? No, it doesn't. But one thing that I'd like to recommend to you is that if you're an early bird, this is not going to be a problem. If you're a night owl, अगर आप रात को लेट जाके पढ़ना पसंद करते हो, then it's definitely going to be a problem. That paper जो होता है वो होता है 9:30 से 11:30. So you need to condition your brain to be most active at this stage. If that is not happening, it is going to be a problem, right? So at least if you are only somebody who studies at night, रात को लेट जाके पढ़ते हो, in the last 2 months, you will need to at least give your mock tests at this time. And अगर आप कर सकते हो तो अभी से कर लो, right? Only saying this because paper दिन में होता है. अगर आप वैसे प्रोडक्टिविटी देखोगे तो कोई फर्क नहीं है रात में या दिन में पढ़ने में, बट क्योंकि पेपर दिन में होता है हमें दिन में पढ़ने को यूज टू होना पड़ता है, राइट? Does 50 hours include revision and testing time? Does not include testing time, includes revision. Jayant, thank you for coming here and you're very welcome. So these are all the questions that I can answer right now. It's been more than an hour. So we'll see you again next week in another live. So this is something I'm going to do for sure, is that we're going to have live sessions often and at least every week so that you can come and connect with me. This is something that, I also enjoy it since I get to interact with a lot of people, and I'm hoping at least that it's helpful for you. Before you go, again, a final message with regards to what I said in the start of this video. Again, when you go back now to your table, remember कि आप बस एक एग्जाम की तैयारी कर रहे हो. There are going to be, let's say, 6 lakh people who are going to write the exam, and you have to be only a better student than them. You don't have to have a better reason to give this exam. You don't have to have a better vision for the development of India or something. All of that comes after you've made it. अभी इस साल जब आप एग्जाम दे रहे हो, ये सिर्फ एक एग्जाम है. Treat it only as an academic exercise and do everything that will ensure that you become somebody who becomes a better student in 2024. That means eating right. That means trying to meditate. That means sleeping on time. That means staying humble. I've seen that some people, just because they're preparing for this exam, sort of get this idea that they are superior. No, you're not. The exam might be the toughest in the world, but you're only preparing for it. So the idea here is simply and only focus on ensuring that you become a better student this year, because ultimately, accept that is all we are. We need to be people who learn, understand, think, comprehend and remember better. And uske beyond kuch nahi hai. Make a pledge with me that you will not watch mock interviews if you're not giving the interview this year. You will not watch royal entries of IAS and IPS. You will not dream of the life that you will have once you're on this side, because believe me, you will have enough experiences once you make it. You will only dream and only watch videos and only think about becoming a better student. Not only will this improve your chances of making it in this exam, I am sure it will have a much more positive impact on your mental health too. Because if you don't take this pledge and if you still associate this with glory, what happens then is that if you don't make it, God forbid, what will happen is that you have missed out on one of the biggest opportunities in life. Whereas the truth will be that you have only not managed to clear an exam, which is just another exam. So this year, ensure that you become a better student. Thank you for being here. Have a good night, and I will see you again in the same format as a live next week.